We're talking about the show this week, and we're going to be talking about love and chocolate. You know, cannot have Valentine without chocolate. Is the biggest item spent on Valentine Day, and so I think it is about. I don't know. The industry is probably $130 billion a year worldwide. American consume most of it, and mostly in Halloween, and then Christmas, and all of that, and also Valentine Day. And what is Valentine Day and chocolates, and of course, love expressed in dark chocolates, and it has a significance there. So, about 2, 3 companies all over the world control the market of chocolate. They make billions of dollars every year. However, farmers that actually grow coca probably make $1 a day on average. And we're going to be talking about the people who want to have a different narrative, different story, alternative way of doing business, alternative way of making a statement. And we're going to, a friend of mine who has a coca farm in Ecuador, and he's been doing this for years, and it's a very small farm, but he wants to make a statement and produce chocolates that really not just sweet, but also can make you feel good about yourself, not just about your lover, about Valentine Day and how much you spend at the mall. So stick with us. We're going to talk to Jim Kokoff, the owner of the small farm there in Ecuador. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Jim.
Hi. Just trying to get the video started here.
Good idea.
I'm doing very good.
You are now you are back in town, or what?
Yes, I'm back in town now.
So you went to visit your farm in Ecuador. Tell us a little bit about it. I mean, chocolate's a big business, not just in America, global wide. They talk about billions of dollars. You know, I was reading some statistic about it. You talk about $130 billion spent on chocolate every year. So, what is? Tell us a little bit about the story about your coca farm there in Ecuador.
After I got out of college, I worked as a volunteer in Ecuador for a few years, setting up credit unions and kind of doing rural development. And I met my wife down there. And shortly after we were married, we met a woman who was actually Ecuador's first female Superior Court justice. She was kind of a well-known lady, but her family had donated a lot of land to the priest that I worked for down there, and he built a high school, and he kind of built the whole town around that. And so he asked me if I wanted to meet this woman, and I said okay. And so we met her, and she didn't have any heirs, and she was 75 years old when I met her, and she hated men in general. So she liked the priest. She got along with all of him, but for whatever reason, she just really liked me, and she asked me to buy her farm. And I said, I don't know anything about farming. I don't have any money. So I didn't know what I was going to do, but the priest just said, just make a lowball offer so we can get out of here and go get something to eat. So that's kind of what I did. And she said, I'll take it. When can you have the money here? So I was like, shoot, now what am I going to do? I had to talk to family members, talk to my uncle, borrow some money, and that's how we purchased this farm from her. Part of the deal was, though, because we did get a very low price for it, was that we would have to leave much of the farm in kind of its semi-abandoned state that we found it. So the jungle had already grown up around into the cocoa plantation quite a bit, and so we couldn't clear cut it out and replant it with new things. And so as a result, as a result, there's an amazing amount of wildlife that's still on this farm, and we've been preserving it that way. But one of the other benefits that we've gotten out of it is that even when we bought the farm, there were 100-year-old cocoa trees on the farm, and so these trees are not very productive in terms of the yield that they would get commercially. However, there's a very rare type of cocoa variety that really doesn't exist anymore that these trees have, and so we've been able to propagate other plantings from these trees, as well as just harvest from those trees in the forest, and that's where the chocolate that comes from. So so the chocolate that we're selling here is basically from these very old trees. So I like to say this is what chocolate tasted like about 100 years ago, and it's a very unique taste. It's different than any other chocolate you'll probably ever try.
What a story this is. So it's not really about chocolate. They're not really buying chocolate. They're buying a story. They're buying a symbol of resistance and kind of alternative way of consuming chocolate.
Yeah, and there's a number of people that are doing that now. That's grown up around the chocolate and among what you'd call kind of the craft foods industry. So these are kind of artisanal products where people make them at a very small scale, but they're very special products, and so they are going to cost a lot more. So we're selling these we're selling. So this is a luxury good. This would be what we'd call a high-end luxury good. The chocolate bar. This is our kind of our mainline chocolate bar. This sells for this here sells for about $10 at the farmers market when we sell it there. When we get it in stores, it will probably be $12 in a store, and it's handmade and hand wrapped. And so a lot of that craft work goes into making it, and then most of the profits of that are going to go down to help us preserve the farm, because the alternative would be to either clear cut it ourselves and put bananas, or put a newer higher grade not higher grade but higher yielding cocoa bean on there. The chocolate that we have here produces about 1/4 the yield of the newer cocoa varieties that are being planted. So the yield per acre is a lot lower than what we're getting for these. And so as a result, farmers down there aren't stupid. People that have those are gradually cutting these old trees down, and that's why they're almost non-existent anymore. So we're trying to create new varieties, plus create a market for this, so that people can keep up these older varieties and not clear cut their forests, and plant the newer form of cocoa bean that doesn't need shade, doesn't need that. It actually is better if you have it just wide open without shade. It produces a lot more. So we're trying to kind of create a thing. So basically, what we're trying to create is an agroforestry model that actually works. And other people are trying similar things in other areas using the same variety of chocolate. There's a company that's in Ecuador as well called TOAK, TO''AK. They sell the same variety of chocolate we do for about $250 a bar. So they're going for an even higher end market on that, but it's actually for the same kind of purpose they have. They're trying to keep these forests that this very rare variety of chocolate is in. These well managed agroforestry plantations that allow wildlife to live along with the crops, and you're not using chemicals, you're not using a lot of other inputs, and you're not clear cutting the forest. They're keeping that alive as well. So they're there. But and if anything, mine is a very, what people will say is a very expensive chocolate bar, about 10 times the price of a Hershey bar, I would say, for the same size. But it's still a lot cheaper than what kind of our competitors are providing for.
let's talk about you branding your chocolate. Tell us a little bit about the branding of your chocolate, the name and design and all of
So we have the name of our farm down there, of our cocoa plantation. It's called Hacienda Ithaca, or Ithaca, the way they would say it down there. And that's basically the Greek Isle of Ithaca, which is where Ulysses was the king in the Odyssey and the Iliad. So it directly comes from there, and it is largely because this is a land that we have, and we've always been trying to get back to it. Most of our life is struggling to get back there, and everything is always frustrating 18 years ago, and it's kind of stuck and kind of lived up to its name.
Simple.
And then the word cacao is Spanish for cocoa. And so cacao Ithaca is what we call our chocolate brand up here.
Well, it's almost like the Arabic name. Uh, so you've been doing this for how many years? How many years take you to actually get it up to produce, and now you introduce it to the American market?
Yeah, so we've been growing cocoa on the farm and selling it there locally for about 25 years. And then a few years ago we said, well, it's very frustrating to sell it down there. Ecuador actually uses the US dollar as its currency. So my first plan was, well, there's no point in exporting goods up to the United States since you can earn in dollars just by selling to people in their cities. So that was kind of our first model. But as it turns out, it's just really expensive and difficult to get the required permits to set up a commercial operation so you can distribute in stores. It's simply a lot cheaper and a lot more straightforward and a lot more honest up here. The way you do it, you just have to pass the right food safety and courses and get an appropriately inspected kitchen or factory where that's done. And so it's a very straightforward. The regulations are simply a lot more manageable up here to do that. And so after years of trying to do it down there and getting frustrated, we said, well, let's just bring it and sell it up here. Otherwise, we'll do that. So we're still hoping to do it down there, but right now we're focused on selling the chocolate up here.
I'm sure they have other pressing needs than chocolate over there. But I was reading that all the chocolates that you see, chocolates manufactured, global chocolate manufactured here in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in average, the worker that actually produce coca, they make $1 a day.
If you're in Africa in those areas, you're going to have so a worker on a farm as opposed to there's kind of when you look at farm work, there's kind of two classes of people, and the farm workers tend to be lower paid people working on these areas, but it's usually a little bit higher paid than similar skill level of work in an urban area. It's generally the case all across the world. But what you find is that in Africa, chocolate production or cocoa production has been pushed by the government, especially the government of Ivory Coast and Ghana, which are the two largest cocoa producers. They have major government programs to really encourage people to grow cocoa plantations on there. So, and they're very small plots of land, 5 acres or so would be a pretty good sized one. So it's between 2 to 5 acres or what each individual family's little farm is.
Mm-hmm.
And at that level, you're just not going to get a very high income out of that. And so that means that you really have to struggle to pay your workers, and that's why in places like Ivory Coast and Ghana and neighboring countries around there, and that's where well over half, probably close to 70% of all cocoa comes from, is going to be those areas in Africa. And cocoa is native to Ecuador. Actually, Ecuador and South America is where it's native. It's kind of native to the Americas. It was spread to Africa by the Europeans in the kind of the colonization period. and it's really taken off there. That's now the main place where all the chocolate companies get their chocolate. So Nestle and Callebaut and Cadbury and Cargill. Cargill's the largest chocolate maker in the world now. They bought all of Nestle's chocolate making facilities, and so Nestle is more of a marketing company, and Cargill makes all their chocolate. They're the largest chocolate refiner in the world right now. They get most of their stuff from Ivory Coast and Ghana and neighboring African countries. And because it's so hard to keep these farms going at their such a small level, slavery has become a real issue. And so when you say slavery, typically it's if you're in a low-income family, you've got some kids that are extra mouths to feed, and so you have a family member somewhere else.
Like the story on the package, do people know? Because that's what you're telling. Actually, it's a story.
Yeah, we do. We have a little card in here. So in the box, we have a little card that tells the story, and then on the bar, you've got the little QR code that you can look on there to go to the website that also opens up and kind of tells her story. And soon, I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but soon I'll just keep a regular kind of a blog update about what's going on in chocolate making and what's going on our farm and things like that. Because there's lots of good stories, and it's not all pretty actually. The chocolate and cocoa beans come from countries that usually have institutional problems, and so our farm was our farm. I was down there last month, and our farm was robbed by an armed band of 10 people with heavily armed with guns, and they're part of a gang that's supported by international organized crime cartels and things like that. And so it's a very serious thing. It's a lot of times cocoa farming is more like a Peaky Blinders episode than it is of an idyllic nice farm. But most of the time, it's actually pretty nice and peaceful there.
So this is not the competition. You want to sabotage this native alternative chocolate story, or this is just people after money or after trucks or whatever?
No, I mean, a lot of it's a I think it is that there's institutions of government exist for a purpose, and that's to keep people doing things, keeping well-being of your society going. And there's bad apples that will show up and try to take advantage and hurt other people, and so those institutions actually help to keep those people under control. And you're going to have invaders. There's a reason countries have armies, and it's not just to exploit your population. It's really to actually stop people that are trying to attack you, and those people really do exist, and they're out there, and you can see them. If you can see them in cocoa producing countries pretty actively. It's very adventurous. We'll put it that way.
So when you said the most of the time, you enjoy doing it, and you feel like you have a message, and not there after money, obviously.
Yeah.
Not making enough money is dangerous. So why are you there for?
Well, I mean, part of it was, we kind of took it on as our kind of our family vocation when we got this farm right after my wife and I were married. We got this farm it's a very large hacienda, and so and we got it at a very low price, and really it was kind of a commitment that we made to this woman that we were going to actually.
Still alive?
No, she's no longer alive. She died in, I think, 2007. And she was a very interesting person, had a very interesting story. And part of it was our commitment to her to say, okay, we're getting this farm as largely as a gift. And so it was kind of our commitment to actually keep, and we supported that commitment of doing something to produce, to kind of provide a model of environmental sustainability in a way that's socially, financially sustainable, and that's what we've been trying to do, and we've kind of taken out. So a lot of times it has been a money pit for a while, putting it down there, and so this is a way of actually trying to say, hey, you know what, this is how we can do it. This is how we can provide a model to other farmers that own land so that they're not clear cutting their forest right now. How can you economically justify keeping a forest there when you could easily clear cut it and put something that people actually need, like sugarcane or rice or something like that? And so that's what.
How do you market in American market here?
Well, right now I started marketing at the farmers market. So right now I sell at the farmers market. I will be at Bachman's Florist in Maplewood this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And so that's Bachman's Florist in Maplewood. That's with the St. Paul Farmers Market. They have an agreement with Bachman's to use kind of their empty greenhouse spaces during the winter for some products, as well as they're open downtown. And so often I'm downtown as well. On a couple of Sundays of the month, and that actually is right now. I sell out all the chocolate I can produce, so I will be moving in March. I will be moving into a larger facility where we can produce more chocolate, and then we'll also have the commercial food production license at a commercial facility. So that will allow us to then distribute to stores. So hopefully within a few months, I'll be introducing these products in some stores. So maybe some like co-ops or smaller grocery stores or markets like that we'll be able to do. It'll have a list on my website where you'll be able to find them.
Jam, we'll wish you well. This is a great story, and I think this time we live in the age of TikTok and social media and Twitter and Elon Musk and all those celebrity royal wealthy man. This is a great story, deserve to be told, and hopefully you get the the attention you need. And anybody wants to know more, you have a website, you have something we can flash on the screen here. And we'll see you at the farmer market in Maple Grove, isn't it?
Maplewood Farmers Market in Maplewood, suburb of St. Paul.
This Saturday.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, John.
You're very welcome.